2022 LSU perplexed many an analyst, many a college football fan. A lot of people wanted to jump on that Brian Kelly bandwagon, but they didn't know if that seat was warm for them just yet. There was some hesitancy. There's a lot of talk about how many transfers he was using out of the portal to help stick that roster together with duct tape. There's a lot of talk about Miles Brennan leaving, and that being a big deal, and that hurting the team, and quarterback controversy, and is Jaden Daniels the right man for the job? All this swirling stuff, Keyshawn Booty on and off the field, all that talk. Then going into the season, people were expecting 6 wins, 7 wins. That 8 wins was the ceiling from even the most diehard of LSU faithful. At LSUODYSSEY.com, we predicted a 9-win regular season, which is what happened. And we did that because we predicted the rest of the SEC West to not even be anywhere near as strong as everyone was making them feel they were. Alabama are going to be show-stopping. Yeah, they had Bryce Young. Probably should have been at least in this college football playoff. Every year you have Bryce Young, and you weren't in 2022. Huge failure on the face of it. No one saw that coming, I guess. We did, because we did not like how Alabama were in the trenches. We didn't think they had enough oomph, physicality, and straight-up just menace in the trenches. And that was found out. And, we saw an SEC West that was there for the taking. If LSU could beat Alabama, it's theirs, right? We didn't expect a loss to Texas A&M or a loss to Florida State. Tennessee, it was kind of up in the air whether we'd win that game going into it. There was a lot of talk. Most people were saying Tennessee, but had LSU played up to their optimum, their best in that game, Harold Perkins doesn't just play 9 defensive snaps, that game could be different. Who knows? But when you fumble it on the first play of the game, you kind of screw yourself from then on. But there was a lot of trepidation of people not really wanting to go all in with BK. Well, after year 1, with the type of swagger we saw from this roster, a bunch of freshmen on this team, a bunch of sophomores, when you saw this staff elevate worrying positions on the field, positions of concern, offensive line, defensive back, you saw Robert Steeples, Brad Davis coach those positions up, solidify those positions. When you see LSU maximize every one of those transfers to the utmost, looking into ahead into 2023, you have to feel there is a unique sense of optimism for LSU, and we just got to say it. Right now, LSU should be favorites in the SEC West. LSU should be favorites to go back to Atlanta. Why? Well, just like once again, we can point to the SEC West uncertainty, the SEC West, usually being overrated, usually not fulfilling what they're, what all the hype, especially when it comes to teams like Ole Miss or Arkansas. Sometimes there's Auburn hype that isn't delivered on, but maybe LSU's hype could be not delivered on this season. But from what I'm looking at, this isn't just hype. This is a team that has been building towards this. A program that's building towards this. Year one, they could have gone to a college football playoff. Year one, we were that close to a college football playoff. Year one, Brian Kelly took LSU back to the SEC title game for the first time since 2019. LSU was not that far away, ladies and gentlemen. So, a season where Perkins plays 300 more snaps. A season where Mekhi Wingo, as an All-American, is joined by another All-American defensive tackle in Mason Smith, backed by Jacobian Guillory. You know, there's so much depth in certain positions. There's so much excitement in certain positions. Look at receiver. I mean, receiver alone should titillate you when you've got Malik Neighbors running the show, and that dude is a 200-yard game waiting to happen. You got Brian Thomas Jr., who has snuck 8 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons while hardly getting the ball. Imagine what will happen when he's a featured target. You got Chris Hilton Jr., who's an absolute speed freak demon out there, who already has a few touchdowns to his name, or maybe just the one in the Texas Bowl, but still, he has done it on the field. Very intriguing what we're going to see from him, but really for me, we could see another wave of freshman greats in year one at LSU, with specifically in mind this receiving core. When you got Kyle Parker, okay, 300-yard game, 21 catches, 300 yards in a single game this last season. Absolute freak. You got Jaylen Brown, who was averaging almost 30 yards per catch as a sophomore. And by the way, he had more than 25 catches that season. So this wasn't just a couple catches. Hard-earned on nearly 30 yards. And then, topped Kayshon Boutte's sprinting numbers out of high school. So you got a guy that's potentially faster than Kayshon Boutte on tap. 5-star Jaylen Brown. And we haven't even talked about Shelton Sampson Jr., the local guy who could absolutely show out in year one. That freshman group of receivers is absolutely going to provide so much depth, competition, and much-needed talent in a group that's losing, Boutte, Besh, Jared Jenkins. Also, LSU's running back core is extremely exciting for me. This running back group. I know John Emery Jr., he showed that he can be that dual threat. He scored multiple touchdowns receiving the ball as well as rushing the ball. Still had the 4 fumbles. Problematic. He's got to fix that. But he still had a fantastic season. Josh Williams had an unbelievable season. Another dude who just really worked his butt off into this role, into this moment. And, he was a first down machine. And what was craziest was on 3rd and long, on runs where Josh Williams was handed the ball with 3rd and 10 to go, 3rd and 10 or more to go, Josh Williams had a nearly 100% conversion rating. I'm not joking about that statistic. Very interesting with that. Over 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. Even Armani Goodwin put on 5 or 6 touchdowns in the, I think, 5 or 6 games that he played. So you've got, Noah Kane with 7 touchdowns, I believe it was. So you've got so many weapons in that backfield. And we're not even talking about Trey Holly or Caleb Jackson. 2 guys who could really, really tear it up in year 1. Probably more likely you'll just see one of those guys get reps in year 1 while the other guy kind of learns from the sideline or something like that. But get both of them in there. Both are going to be great. Get them both in there. I think you will see Jaden Daniels in year 2, more high-octane offense. I mean, this offense had a lot of ground and pound, a lot of rushing power, because that was what we trusted. Running the ball into the end zone. That's what we trusted time and time again. Drive and drive again. This year, I think you're going to see a bit more passing, especially when you got Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Aaron Anderson joining that group. That's someone who really excites the hell out of me, is Aaron Anderson. Redshirt freshman receiver. Really can't wait to see what we get from him, as well as on the special teams. I think he's going to contribute to both at a high level. And then, people are worried about a position like corner. And I understand why. We lost Jarek Bernard-Converse, Mekhi Garner, 2 guys who played a ton of reps for us at each corner position. We lose Jay Ward, a guy who can play out there. But, going out and getting Javion Toviano, 5-star freshman, who could be another one of these guys. Just another one of these guys who's going to come in to the team and start in year 1. I mean, he could be that guy. Then again, we could also just see, Robert Steebles go with, maybe Sevian Banks, opposite Deuce Chestnut. You can see Denver Harris opposite Toviano. I think you're going to see Denver Harris really, really excel for LSU in this season. I think he's going to be a player to watch, Denver Harris. I think he's going to be a player who's going to be really interesting to see his development, his evolution at LSU, with all the things that have been said, all the trepidation, all the worries from LSU fans, all these people sending me these messages. I don't want this crap in my locker room. I don't want this. I don't want that type of personality. This group of kids are so together, and this guy's going to ruin it. And I just had to tell people, stop. You don't even know the full story. Just hold your horses. And now, where's the crying? Where's the fury over us getting Denver Harris anymore? I don't hear a word. Don't hear a word. Kind of funny how that works out. I'm really pumped for this season because I think you got a wide open SEC West. I think you got, almost dare I say it, a wide open SEC. I don't really see any team in the SEC that has that pinnacle quarterback. That has that pinnacle quarterback, pinnacle coach, pinnacle program, top 10, top 15 defense, star running back. I don't see that team that's got all of those bases covered, as well as remaining competitive, highly recruiting in the trenches. Alabama have pretty much every one of those things, but then you've got to wonder about the new coaches they're bringing in, and you got to wonder about their quarterback, Jalen Milroe. Not even close to developed, not even close to the finished article, still very raw. Have no clue what we're going to get from him. Okay. And so, Arkansas, they're going to be losing their longtime veteran quarterback, as well over the last few years. Jackson Dart is like the only guy who is like, you know, is going to be a returning starter, I swear to God, in the SEC, or at least within the top teams of the SEC. And this guy, he just saw two different quarterbacks come in who are gunning for his job, nipping at his heels. So, you know, Walker Howard, former LSU Tiger, being one of them. So it's very intriguing, and to me, I don't know how you can't say LSU aren't favorites for this season's SEC championship. I don't know how you could take that away from 2023 LSU, because I get it. The games still have to be played. LSU haven't won anything yet in 2023. But based on the evidence of what we saw last year, and then with the additions of everything that I just pointed out over the past 15 minutes, I think you would be well versed if you said it was a failure if LSU didn't win the SEC this season, this fall. That's how good this team is. That's how all in they are with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is probably the best quarterback in the SEC for 2023. At least the most accomplished, put together, and experienced, and, you know, capable of winning end of season awards. And, you know, it's just going to be really interesting to me how this season plays out. But really, it would be very shocking to me for LSU to have a regression this season. You know, it can happen, but it would be very shocking for LSU to have a regression in any such a way, shape, or form. And I'm meaning losing more than 3-4 games. You know, not being able to cross that double-digit win threshold. That to me would be a regression when you're looking at this season and who is ahead for LSU, who is running these programs in their way, who is quarterbacking these programs in their way, who's coaching on the staffs for these teams. And I don't know about you, but some of these new hires at Alabama don't really fill me with too much confidence if I was an Alabama fan, which thank God I'm not. And so I think there's a moment here for LSU. I think this is a year here for LSU to really stamp some type of marker down, not just for 2023, but beyond.